Shraddha, you wanted to ask some question. You came up in the last room, but didn't ask anything. Or
I just wanted to say that I really liked the way you explained everything, and but then I got a call, so I had to move down, so couldn't
oh,
express my
okay.
gratitude.
No, thank you so much.
Hari Om, Namaste.
Ariam.
So, I heard that we can clear our past karmas through meditation, and I'm very much clueless about it. How does it really work when one is ought to go through their own karma?
Okay. First, you should understand what is the relationship between karma and karma phala. Then comes past life and how do you negate karma phalas. Karma gives karma phala only if you have a doership. And the doership comes from desire. Janadi ichchati yatate. If actions are done with desire, they ought to give you a result. Now these results, karma phala, is depending upon many factors, just not because we have a desire, the action may give the result. No. It can be affected by time, space, and the influence of positive and negative forces acting towards fructification of that. So sometimes something doesn't happen, fructify, even though we did the desire, we do have the desire and we did the action, but we didn't get a result. In the Mimamsa, there is a theory, Krita Pranasham, Akrita Abhyagamam. That is, no action will die without giving a result, and there will not be anything which will be coming as a fruit unless there is a action which has priority to the result. This is the basis on which the karma theory works. So whatever fruits of action which you had, you wanted to enjoy or you want to benefit out of for which you did act with a desire, if it has not rectified, but that remains as per the Mimamsa, remains as adrishyam or adrishtam, unseen. And it is given to the individual when he takes a rebirth, is the theory of Mimamsakas. So what does it happen is that when you have such accumulated thing where your fruits of action has not yet come, but you have taken a birth, but the birth is not conducive for those fruits to be consumed, because assuming that you were a lady and you desired to have a son, and in the next life you were born as a man, naturally you can't give birth to a son. You wanted to see, so that will not happen. So that person will have to go through one more life where he had to, that body will have to take place a female body and come like. These are the ways in which they explain it. So basically what does it mean? There are, out of the millions of desires results which we have in hand, we can consume only a set of results in a given body, which are the possible for the fruits to be consumed, because the body should have the capacity to consume it. The circumstance and the living and the surroundings all should match up for the fruit to give the effect of it. This is how the karma fruit, karma phalas is all working. Now how does meditation or religious activity nullify the fruit of action? Bhagavad Gita, third chapter onwards is discussing this in detail. So if you have studied Bhagavad Gita, you will know there are two stages for that. One is called Karma Yoga, and the next one is called Karma Sannyasa. Karma Yoga is the first stage where you identify the actions which you are doing. You want to stop further karma phalas from coming. For that, I said when the desired action only gives the fruit of result. An action which doesn't have any desire for that, or your actions are not for your intention, it is required to be done, but at the same time, you don't want the result to come, then you have to do it as an act of service. Karma tyagam or karma yat karishyati yadasnasi tat kurusha madarpanam is what the Gita says. Surrendering the actions in a higher pedestal or a higher action, by way you are not going to be interested in the fruit of the action which you are doing now further. So this way you are not accumulating fresh karmas and karma phalas. But what about the one which has already happened? For that, we should know the activity with which we can regularize or minimize the effect of it. One is what is called karma sannyasa. There what happens is that you are totally not even going to do any action, but the actions itself becomes a sannyasa or a tyaga. In the tyaga form. In the earlier one, you are doing the action, but you are surrendering the fruits for the higher pedestal, the altar or the deva or ishtadevata or whatever it is. In the second stage where you are matured is you are even not going to do the action. Not only you don't have a desire to do the action, but even the actions other than what is required for your maintaining your body, you are not going to do any action. These are the people who go for sannyasa life. But for a grihastha, that is not possible. He has to take into sannyasa, then only karma sannyasa can be done. Now, your question of how meditation can nullify the karma phalas of past karmas is that an action and a result cannot be changed its course. In the example of the Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita is that it is like an arrow which has left from the bow will stop only after hitting the target. So, nobody can stop that. But at the same time, Bhagavad Gita says one thing. Nanu shochanti pandita. An action when it gives a result, what normally happens to the human being is that we not only go through the moment of the fruit of action befalling on us, but we also live in that effect of the fruit of action even after the effect has happened, or in what they call it as anushojanam or anu, in the same afterwards. Suppose if a sorrow has fallen, a sorrowful event has happened, mind will feel the sadness and you will do what is required at that time of what is to be done. But carrying it still in the mind and thinking sorrowful, crying for it for a week or 10 days or a month is what is called anushojanam. But Pandita, or the wise ones, they know that this is maybe the way in which I had done a past karma and this karma has come as a result. I have to go through it, I'll go through it. No choice. Accept it as you are burning down a karma phala, but do not afterwards think about it or live in that effect of that phala which has come. This can possibly be done only if you have a very sturdy and clear understanding for which meditation is a tool which is to be said. In the meditation, what happens is that you are going to understand the method in which events are happening and the reactions coming, how your mind will react can be controlled only if you know your mind. And to know your mind, there is no tool in the whole world other than meditation. The meditation can be of two types. The ritualistic one or the intelligent one. The ritualistic one is what is called the pranayama, pratyahara, sadhana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, the route with which Maharshi Patanjali has laid down the rules for this thing. That is the ritualistic way of meditation. And where there are rules and regulations, it is a well-scripted technical book and prescription for beginners or even for advanced people who are not able to control their mind. But then there are intellectual ways of achieving the same thing, because why it is happening, if you know that and you are mentally strong, intellectually strong, you can achieve the same tranquility and equipoise of the mind with intelligence supporting you to face it and analyze it in a scientific or logical way. This is called the intellectual way of controlling the mind. It all depends upon what type of a personality you are. This is what is called, we call it as Adhikari Swabhava or Adhikari Veda, the nature of the Adhikari. If you are an emotional person, then the ritualistic method of doing the yoga is the best way to do that. But if you are not an emotional person, but you are more of a logical, analytical person, you can use the intellectual way of knowing your mind, seeing your mind as an object, and controlling your mind in a very objective way. Thereby, the mind doesn't get the power which otherwise emotionally it will overwhelm you. Here the intellect is more powerful, so the mind cannot overwhelm you because the intellect interferes and analyzes it, and you are analyzing the event, analyzing the fruit of action which has come. The impact of the action is nullified then and there by intellectual analysis and dissection of it. Thereafter, once it is done, you do not carry it after thereafter. Thereby what happens is that you are consuming the fruit of actions for which you have taken a life, and simultaneously your logic helps you to look more towards the futuristic permanent solutions by keeping away the desires, and the reason for desire is from the not knowing the reality of the object of desire. And that can be learned through intellectual methods in the logical, what the scriptures say, how to analyze experiences, how to know who you are, what is your relation between yourself and the experiences, what is the real link between you and the experiences, which causes the fruit of action and the result of action. All those things can be analyzed intellectually, and you can have a control on yourself whereby you become a sthita prajna, or a man with a firm conviction that sukha dukkhe samikritva labha labho jaya jayo. Both sukha and dukkha, jaya and parajaya, all sorts of dualities, you see it with equipoise. For you, both are events in nature, but not in things which are affecting you. And that asanga bhava, like the lotus leaf in water, it doesn't get dry, even though it is drenched in water, it doesn't get wet. Like that, a Sthita Prajna will, or a person who has learned to control his mind and observe the nature of life, can live in this world with the greatest sorrow befalling on him, even without making least impact on him, or the null impact on him. Even the greatest of benefits or joy befalls on him. He, whether the sorrow or the joy, he looks both at the same way. Neither the joy nor the sorrow, he knows it is not his nature, but they are all of the events which is happening. They are limited in time and space. They do not last. And looking for a lasting thing, he learns himself that his own very nature is the lasting one, and he is the one which is permanent, not the events and the objects. So he doesn't get attached to the events and the objects anymore. Thereby, he becomes above the fruit of action. No fruit of action is ever going to touch him. Na lipyate yasya bahya karma. He is not wetted by any of karma or karma phalas. That way he becomes a mukta and becomes a mukta purusha.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Pranavas to everyone. I am Akshata Bannadbavi from Karnataka, India. I am not fluent in English. Please excuse me. To the subject discussed on karma, I would like to sing a vachana written by a great Basavanna.
Yes, Jadavedji's guru is there. Jadavedji, she had asked me in the last class whether she can sing a...
Yes, yes, sir.
Please
go ahead, sir. Please go ahead.
Can I conclude it? Does it mean
Yeah, yes.
meditating?
Yeah, you want to ask a follow-up question on that?
I'm just trying to conclude it to my understanding. Does meditation stops us making new karma or getting affected by it, so that we will face it, but we don't feel it really? Does it mean?
No. Meditation doesn't nullify the karma and karma balas. Meditation only gives you opportunity to create the quality in your mind how to face that.
Yeah,
and you become more and more intelligent to face that whatever comes, and you also become intelligent not to create new. This
exactly, yeah.
Viveka will come in the mind when the mind is tranquil. That meditation helps.
Yeah, that means we will stop getting affected by our karmas, which we may still have to face.
Yes.
Is it controlling our thoughts or guiding our thoughts?
It makes the mind become stronger to face whatever comes in, because mind knows that earlier the mind becomes a victim use of those karma phalas. Now mind is no more a victim of karma phalas, but it looks at karma phala as an event which I need to face it. Whatever may be the situation, it will come and go. It has no lasting effect on me. That attitude will be able to develop yourself if you are doing that.
It means acceptance of karmas or our life.
Yeah, because whatever has been, if you jump into water to get wet is a karma phala. But to get into water or not, the choice will be done. If you decide you don't want to you don't get into water. But if you say, I don't know whether I'll get in wet or not, and you want to jump into water, the water doesn't know whether you wanted to get or not. But its nature is to make you wet. It will do its job. That is the nature of the way in which nature works. Our mind is the one which is confused, which doesn't know what is to be required and what is to be, getting what should be done. This incapacity of the mind becomes less when you do a controlling of your mind or training your mind, for which meditation definitely helps.
Can I ask one last thing?
Yes, please.
I mean, I'm trying to understand, having been in Grihastha Dharma rather than in Sannyasa Dharma, Grihastha Ashramam, how can I myself stop doing new karma though I got the consciousness through meditation?
Yat
Where,
Krishna says it very clear, Prasanna. Yat kurushasi yadasnasi tat kurusham adarpanam. If you have only doership, your karma phala will be yours. If your karma is an act of dedication to a higher goal, to your Ishtadevada or a thing, your duty to your family, if you are doing it, not with your ego or your selfishness, which you are doing, which I always say that selfishness is the root cause or problem. So when you do that as a dedication to for the entirety of the world, that no action is binding you and no result will touch you. Namaste, Jessica.
Namaste, Binduji. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So this year is 100th, birthday of Swami Krishnananda ji. So I was just going through one of his articles. The article is, Bhagavad Gita in nutshell. So at the concluding para, he uses the word impersonality is the character of God, and he keeps using impersonality multiple times. I just want to know the views about or better understanding of the word impersonality. He says, as long as you are able to, I'll just read it out. To the extent we are successful in the development and manifestation of impersonality of a character in even the humblest proportion, to that extent we have succeeded in our spiritual pursuits. That is Bhagavad Gita in nutshell. So I just wanted to know what he's trying to say. That. Thank you.
Shrikant, basically, Krishnananda's words are very, very valuable words in the sense that the personality what we are having is the bundle of characteristic with which we identify ourselves separate from the rest of the world. That characteristic can be that I am Indian, or I can be a man, or I can be, all those things are personality related. Personality means to the person or the physicality or the individuality which I harbor as what I am. So when I can get rid of that limited individuality aspects with which I segregate myself from the rest of the world, I become impersonal. But there is no more a limited individual which I can feel within myself. In Bhagavad Gita, the word used for that is Sarva Bhuta Hitairahata. The word used for that is very, very unique word, which is not there in any Upanishad or any other places. So what does it mean that Sarva Bhuta Hitairata? Sarva means all, Bhuta means creation, Hita means well-being, Ratha means one drives that. So Sarva Bhuta Hitairataha means the one who has well-being of everything in every creation. Such a person cannot harbor or keep himself as a personality oriented, limited individual, segregating himself from the rest of the world. So when he says impersonal, it is from that point of view we have to understand that as much as we can get rid of our limited notion of the individuality by characterization of our physicality or mentality or any other forms which we segregate from the rest of the world, that is a limitation in our being one with the nature or one with the creation. That is what is impersonality, what he is talking about.
Thank you. So, in other words, can we say no? It's like shunning away the identity of I. That's what is he trying to say? That actually, just shunning away the identity.
No shunning away.
Okay.
It is a intellectual sublimation of limitation which we have brought into ourselves. See, there are two ways we can suppress it. Suppressed emotions or individuality or characteristics cannot remain suppressed all the time. Any slightest, agitation or a tinkling or a, what you call catalyst, which can trigger that, the suppressed emotions or suppressed individuality can spring up and come with double the force. But when we sublimate our characteristic at the altar of the Creator Himself, who has created not only myself but the rest of the world, then how can I harbor a separate, independent existence out without the existence of the world for my own survival? So for my own survival, if I accept the world outside is as much important, I should also reciprocate, saying that the rest of the world also needs me in a non-interfering way to be involved in that world. Then only there is a harmony or a coexistence possible. So it is not a it is not a suppression or not a the word which you used is what? Shunning away from that, responsibilities or anything. No, you are not shunning away from the responsibility. You are doing it as if you are doing it for yourself, even when you are doing for the rest of the world. Because even in the Bible, it is, you see your neighbor as yourself. When Jesus said that, or when, Vasudeva Kudumbakam Sarvam in the Upanishad, when they say that, what does it say all that? Or even the Bhagavad Gita say, Parasparam Bhavayanda Shraya Paramavapsisa. In all these places, the message is the same. Never think that we are a man, an island in himself. No, we can never be. Abraham Maslow has said that. We are a social animal. We need to be socially interactive. But in the social interactive time of the social interaction, we should not be selfish to see us segregate from the world outside. Just as the world is required for us, we should also understand that I am a world for the others, part of the world. So I am also should be equally accessible and mingling with the world without my selfishness or separatedness from the world.
Thank you, Pranams. Thank you.
Namaste, Samar.
Namaste, Aurobinji. Very beautifully put what you just explained earlier. And the way I have understood it is, what you resist persists. So you cannot shun away your identity. You need to see through it. And it was very well put. And very nice to be back here in this room. It's been a couple of days.
Aurobindaji, there would be a good idea if you could hold a room only on the subject of prana. What do you think of this idea?
Why prana?
Yeah, because it is the boss of all the indriyas, and that's what Prashna Upanishad says. It is the indriyas started fighting with each other, who is more powerful, and then prana told them, or they understood that without prana they are nothing. And then again the prana and rai and all that. It would be interesting to hear stuff on prana from you.
See, that is why prana, the word prana in Upanishad used as prana, apana, Samana Panchaprana, Mukhya Prana, then Atman, mind, and even as Ishvara and Indra. There are 6, in 6 places the same word prana is used for different meanings. So I may have to bring all the 6 references and then compile it and say this place it is what, this place what it is. Because it's not one subject.
True, sir. Also, this misconception, people like Bollywood movies and all these people, they've created that Atma leaves the body and all that. So in Brahma Sutra, it tells that it is the prana along with Antakaran that leaves the body. And because Atma is everywhere anyway, it cannot be, how can it leave when it is everywhere like that? But in that context also, more information in prana from Shastras would be interesting to hear.
See, there you have to understand that prana is traveling along with the Antakarana. Is like saying that the waker is traveling with his mind to his dream. Does the waker travel himself to the dream with memories of the dream to create a world of dream? No. But for those who cannot understand the reality of it, this explanation is given. Oh, then they think, okay, then the mind with that memories of the waking is the one which is going into dream and creating a dream world. It's all expressions of metaphorical expressions to make things clear, understandable to people who cannot fathom the subtle meanings of it.
Aurobindoji, I was meaning to ask this Sarvagya and Sarvavid. Can it be likened to the first person and the third person experiences?
Really not. It is from the totality point of view. See, from the totality point of the total which has become many, he has one knowledge. From his point of view, he is becoming everything. See, if you are becoming one thing, then that first person will come in. I don't know how to explain that by a different word, meaning that, let us, I don't know how do I put it. Assuming that all the seeds inside an orange become trees around a particular tree. The tree can see all the seeds of one fruit has become his own reflections in everything, similar to himself. So he is seeing every tree around him as orange trees or his own reflections as many trees. At the same time, he has also knowledge of what is to be that tree. Not only what is to be he himself, who has created that trees, but he also becomes the tree of the other tree and he experiences that tree's experience also. But normally in our case, we cannot do the transfer of first person experience to another person. See, I cannot become Raj and experience what Raj is. At the most, even if I know Raj 100% what he is, still I cannot be his Raj's experience as what Raj is. But assuming that I not only know Raj as a separate entity, but I also know to be what Raj is. I know also what to be Patrick is. I know also what to be Srinivas is like or Chais is like, anybody else. tree, mountain, food, animal, everything that. Not only the existence of them, but becoming them also. That is the Sarvajnati. And the Sarvavit is that as that individual, multiples, what they go through, independent of the existence of the one from where it has come, is called Sarvavit. I don't know. Whether because there is no second example which I can quote for that or explain for that purpose.
Thank you so much, Arvindji.
Could we use that example of wave and water? Like water knows what is inside the wave or in bubble? Like this?
Yeah, you can use those examples, but then there is a limitation in the sense that they are separated in time and space. But in this case, he is also the time and he is also the space and also the objects. So he knows not only the difference of the separatedness, but he also knows the oneness of all of them.
Yeah, true. Thank you.
Bindo, I was thinking during this session that the all of the different commentaries, the different interpretations of the Upanishads, when does, like, if you wanted to, for example, you could write your own commentary on the Upanishad, and there's nothing that stops you from doing that. What is it that separates somebody like Swami Rama from Adi Shankara, for example? There's no hierarchy among Sanatanis, other than somebody might be revered more. So you could write your interpretation and your commentary, and as students of yours, or for example, we would share it and we would talk about it, and then it would generate more dialogue, and then people would come along and refute yours. Is that kind of how the history of these different commentaries have evolved?
Well, these commentaries can be varied because depending upon the person who is narrating the verses, he can have his own insight into the experiences of the mantras. But if he is deviating from the principle what the Upanishad is standing for and trying to establish a new order of explanation, then you call it as a different philosophical school itself. But those who are adhering to Advaita, explaining with more from the insights which he has gathered, more examples related to the time of explanation. Suppose, for example, when I am doing it, I am more relating to the examples which I can take from today's experiences all of us are having. Swami Rama would have taken examples at his time. What would have been example available? Shankara used it in example during his Vedic period of time. So his examples were more towards the Vedic rituals and things like that. Shankara would not have written anything on the artificial intelligence or spring theory or quantum mechanics or anything, because it was not available during his time.
Right. What does Bhasha translate as?
Pardon?
What does Bhasha translate as? Shankara's the Shankara Bhashya, that translates as commentary.
Yes, it is translated as commentary only.
Okay. So what I was thinking is like this, like a guy like Sarva Priyananda, and I mean, you're maybe not among his peers, but I mean, you've got a pretty good grasp of the modern concepts. I think people like Sarva Priyananda are so plugged into what's going on with science. If I asked you a question about, like, how does Brahman animate the sun? mean, it's such an incredibly complicated answer that, and I don't want to ask it right now, but I really want to know the answer. I mean, Brahman is not, you can't separate the sun from Brahman. You can't separate the elements that make up the sun from Brahman. And so it's all inseparable, even though we can see it as that multiplicity. The concept of illumination is almost metaphorical, but in a very real way, scientifically, physics and whatever it is, that, with the understanding of different languages in science like math and physics, there's going to be a commentary on the Upanishads that dispels all of the scientific, ambiguity about it, and put the Upanishads in their right place among, literal scientific texts, because that's what they are, right?
Well, Patrick, let me be very clear on one aspect. The realm of philosophy, which is in Advaita and all those things, are totally different from the materialist way in the science is proceeding. They are definitely going in leaps and bounds, and they are doing wonders in the scientific field. From that experiencing to looking at objects and finding answers in the object is not the path which the philosopher takes. The Upanishads, the rishis of the Upanishad and the thing. They were not worried about what happens to the world outside. They were more worried about the relationship between himself and the world outside in the absolute sense. Physically, he knows that there is difference. Experiences-wise, the world is different. But there is, he knew for sure in his own meditation and his own revelations, whether it is, whether you call it as a mystic revelation or his, whether it is the divinity expressing himself in them. Whatever word you want to use it, you can use it. But these are all experiences which cannot be touched by instruments which the science need for measurement. So there will never be a time when science and physics, philosophy will merge into one place. They may come closer when it to a certain level, beyond which the David Chalmers question of hard problem of consciousness will remain as a problem, and it can never be answered. Because his question is very clear from the philosopher's point of view. And that a scientist can never cross over to become a philosopher, and then he can be a philosopher. But he can go back and become a scientist when he is working in the lab or in the quantum theory or string theory or wherever it is. These two converging into one and getting an answer, I don't see it is possible, because where you look are totally different places. One you are looking inward and the other one is looking outward.
I don't know. I'm not going to disagree with you for obvious reasons, but the way that I look at the commentaries as being distinct from the Upanishads, the commentary brings, I mean, as the Bhashya from 1500 years ago is going to be different than the commentary today. And what somebody is doing, a modern mind, is bringing that philosophy into context. And so metaphors of using clay and ropes and everything is a way to help a sadhak understand what that underlying meaning of that text is. I think that the maybe I'm wrong, but I just think that a modern contextual commentary is going to dispel the notions of particles, atoms, and so on, to reveal the real meaning is just part of the activities in consciousness, and they'll be able to do it in a way that is in line with the underlying philosophy of Vedanta.
The question comes here, even the unified field theory or the quantum theories, etc., they are trying for measurement. When philosophy has always said that the experiences are not measurable, and it varies from person to person. Even our ordinary day-to-day experiences, what I experience as sweet may not be the same what you experience as sweet. The sweetness can be measured as an object in a sugar candy or an ice cream by the science. But my experience of sweet and your experience of sweet of the same substratum of the sugar candy or ice cream is personal in nature. What I go through and what you go through, we cannot measure and say whether it is the same or not. Because when you do multiple tests, then there will be places where we differ. There will be places we will merge our experiences, say yes, we have also felt the same way. Some places, see, these are all becoming because at the time of experience, there is another aspect of the individuality coming into play, which the mind plays as likes and dislikes. I may like 10 ice creams, whereas you may stop at 5. But if it is the same thing, what is sweet and what our experiences are there, why should you stop at 5 and why should I go for up to 10? There are measures with which the experience becomes full. So therefore, the experience of becoming full with experience also varies from person to person. So these things cannot be measured by science. Why should it happen?
I don't know. I'm looking at science in a different way. I think science is philosophy as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of philosophy in the towards the modern approach of the quantum and all. You will find that they are almost.
I mean, look at the question of the hard problem, for example. And a lot of what physicists now are seeing that space-time, you read it, just Google space-time is doomed, and you'll see a half a dozen scholarly articles that pop up right away. The notion of space-time is dissolving really quickly as they look behind, the curtain. And so the hard problem of consciousness, of course, is, the discussion of subjective experiences and how to quantify them. But really what it is, there isn't a hard problem of consciousness. There's a hard problem of materialism, because they're just kind of getting a grasp of what it means. And so a lot of what has been written and talked about in science is really metaphorical, because they've been wrong more often than, and that's the nature of science, is you're wrong a lot, and then you finally come to, a theory that is proven. So I don't know, I look at the Upanishads as science, just ancient science, that, is largely, bearing true, as time goes on. That's how I'm looking at it differently, maybe.
Yeah, definitely there is a scientific method in which Upanishads have worked in analyzing the experiences. That part I agree with you. Namaste, Srinivas.
Namaste, Arbindaji. Yeah, very nice discussion. Yeah. I always like this discussion, but I think it's. In fact, I also sometimes imagine that fantasy that the only way the world can change or something is in the hands of scholars or the real so-called, like in this modern hierarchy, it would be scientists. But yeah, unfortunately, modern science is going forward into infinity. So it's like a carrot in front of a donkey. It can. But yeah, I think scholars are the only people who can, at that level, they can bring a top-down change. But I don't think it can happen. They will find more and more subatomic particles and more quantum particles, and the donkey will be chasing the carrot all the time. The path is like Arvindaji said, it is completely different path. It is a journey backward, like the senses turning inward and trying to find the source, which I think is exactly opposite direction in which the popular modern science is heading into. These are all very philosophies, all I think corners of the society, and very few people talk about it. But majority is production oriented, right? What makes money? What is those kind of things. Nobody really cares about an individual realizing or awake or being happy within himself. It's more about other things. Like many people have said, Krishnamurti has said it, and so I don't think that is possible. But I do. Yeah, I also have that. Sometimes I do think that if some scientists can really break something, and then governments and everything look at stuff differently, and something would change. But it's very too much to hope for, I guess. But anyway, I thought you will cover I always, when I listen to Mandukya, I treat these three as the next sloka also, together I like these three as a bucket. So very nice. It makes me like a kid, next to the two words story that is going to come up. I was thinking about it and laughing all the time. It's like Upanishad Rishi is catering for kids also by telling very nice stories. Yeah.
But then tomorrow, next week, you will be in for a surprise then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll wait.
Aurobindoji, can I ask one more question in continuation to what I asked earlier?
Yes, please.
So, if the ultimate state is Anandam, then why did the Anandam decide to, detach itself and then send us over here and experience suffering and pleasure and pain? Why?
You are assuming that it has really happened.
Please, can you say that again, please?
You are already assuming it has really done that way.
Yes, I'm assuming. I'm sorry, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, but analyze it, you will find that it's only a feeling that it has happened that way. In reality, it has never become.
So it's only when the man suffers, this question comes, this dissatisfaction arises in the heart.
Because man identifies himself to the body.
Yes, exactly, yes.
So that is what the unreality for the reality of the separation. If he knows his true nature, what he is, then he will not be able to associate with the happiness or sorrow. Both of them will be just for him.
Why play this game altogether? Why create even an opportunity where a man suffers?
Who created?
I don't know.
You created only. You are the one who creates it. You means not the physical one which you feel that limited. The one who went into dream, deep sleep and waking is the one who creates a waking next day with the bundle of memories and, vasanas or the, subconscious mind tendencies which we build it. But it's all there in the identification of the mind which is thinking all those things. But you are able to see that. If you want to see, you can separate it out of and look at them as the play of the mind. If you are really that, you can't separate out yourself. No? You can see your mind. Your mind, when you are in sorrow, you know it, you are sorrow. So you are not the mind. You know that your mind is in sorrow. So you can separate it out. You know when you are happy, you may identify with your mind and become happy, but you can also stay away seeing the mind becoming happy. So
yes.
when you are able to do that, that definitely shows you are not the mind. So the happiness and sorrow is in the mind, not in you. But if you identify with the mind and say that who created the happiness and sorrow, you created the happiness and sorrow for yourself because you started identifying with your mind.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. Even Swami Rama says the same thing. The pain and pleasure comes from the single object. What we identify with, as Arbindoji said as well. That if you lose a pen, if you have a very precious watch and if you lose it, you feel pain, and then if you find it, you feel pleasure. It's simple as that. It's just play of the mind.
Yeah, I think in one of the introductions to one of the Mundakas chapters, I think something like this, Shankara, I recently remember reading it. It's like when, for example, one side we are saying the creation did not happen, it is Nischala, and it is that thing that is not changing or something like that. Whereas the Upanishad is what do you say? Describing the process of creation in a very detailed way. I think, yeah, it's a very interesting question. I felt, and oh, sorry, I forgot the main part. I think so. What was that?
It's
Basically, yeah.
basically to give an option to that.
So basically the whole point is, once you understand that, it is a very, again, I have to say, very logical approach or something. It is saying that this pot came out of that clay, this spoon came out of that clay, this cup came out of that clay. When first from this clay the pot came, or that clay became something. So by saying that, I think they are all saying that it is a very, I think, very logical thing, I guess, that when something like wave, bubble, and all this foam and all are coming from that water, it is that vision. That's why the creation process is described very deeply, just for the seeker or the Sisha to understand that at the end, all these are that thing only. It is. And yeah, there is some, I think I went into a very deep rabbit hole. Now I dug myself into it. But yeah, it is some reasons why actually. So one hand, it is like it did not change, or that Ananda is always Ananda. There is no creation. Whereas in other hand, we see all the Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. So yeah, there are deeper questions of philosophy. Maybe I will stop it here. Maybe leave for each person to contemplate on his own or something like that.
So, Aurobindoji, why did the existence even have the option available for mind to misidentify with my body? Why would if intelligence is if the Supreme is so intelligent, why will he do that? He would leave an option that I would misidentify with my body or with my mind.
That is not the creator's job. That is, he has not created anything. In the sense that the appearance of snake, what the example which you used, appearance of the snake, who created it for you?
See, the thing is, even if I created it, yet by design it would have been given to me by somebody, right?
No. When you created a snake on a rope, what aspect of you created the snake?
I guess fear or the attachment with the body.
No, it's simple. Your ignorance of not knowing the rope.
Yes.
Right? Same is the case when the world appears. We were supposed to know the world as the creator himself. But we understand that I am separate, the world is separate because of ignorance. And once ignorance comes in, then the related problems of all the problems of birth, death, creation, world, happiness, sorrow, everything is superimposed after upon that. But if you are going by the Mandukya definition of that, these things have really not happened or never happening. They appear to have happened. And why does it appear to have happened? That is the nature of Atma. Deva, Esha Devasya Swabhavaha. It is the nature of air to appear as water. when air itself is not water in real nature, the air itself appears as water when we call it as a mirage. It has really never become water. It is only air all the time. But it appearing to be a water is the nature of the air. There the problem is that there the seer is different, the air is different, and the water is supposed to be non-existent water is supposed to be felt by a third party. But here it is not the third party experience. Here it's only one. And this I am there, the world is there, is the root cause of the question itself. All these questions which you are asking is, you are real as a separate entity. Therefore, all these questions of yours is from that point of view. First find out, are you real? From the where does this question come from? This question comes from the ignorance that you are real.
Yes.
And therefore, the whole thing is created upon that. Same way, find out your real nature, all these questions will get answered because these things become unreal for you. Because you are not real. What you think now is not real, but your reality is different. That there is no you, that there is only one awareness. And there you cannot say I am separate or he is separate of awareness is there. The multiplicity itself vanishes.
So, I've heard a couple of stories where somebody came in touch with a master, and then in his physical sense, he became everything that he saw. He could basically experience everything that he saw around him. So, that philosophy where you can experience everything around you. The whole existence becomes you. The identification is that. So I was just wondering. Sorry, maybe I've lost track of my thoughts. Thank you.
No, you are right. That is exactly what is happening right now also for each one of us. But we are refusing to accept it. Apart from awareness, is there anything separate from awareness around us, including our own self? What is we call it as individuality? If you remove awareness, does anything of what you want to say exist other than that? Without that awareness? So be the awareness, not the one who has awareness. If you are thinking that you are the one who has awareness, then you are separate, the world is separate. But if you become the awareness, not become the awareness, you are the awareness even otherwise. But forgetting that you are the one who has awareness, you be the awareness, then you will see the awareness is everything. Everything is awareness, and that everything, when in awareness, the appearance of name and form in the awareness becomes unreal. They will be there seen, but the reality will be of the awareness.
And philosophically, questioning yourself, can this ignorance be removed of my awareness that I am everything?
That is a process called Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. It is one of that process. But, there are many methods Upanishads prescribed. One of them is what you said. The other one is Neti Neti. What is not you is an object to know who you are. Because you are not able to identify yourself as the awareness. Your ego or individuality, not the ego in the sense is selfishness. The ego or the individuality is so predominant in all of us that we are not able to shift our identity from the ego individuality to the awareness as our true nature. That is possible when we say that what is object is not the subject. So anything that can be objectified is not what I am. So neti, one by one, when you say that not this, when you remove that one by one, then what is left out is called Badavadi, or what is left out after saying there is nothing more to be left out. Even that last stage will be, I am the one who is saying, I am the one who is removing the saying or the subject which is saying nothing. When the object is there, then when the subjectiveness of the I also will go. That is the time when it will be in awareness.
So, Bindu, do you want to explore the 10th verse and talk about maybe a light version of how Brahman animates the sun, how Brahman is the real source of that light.
You have to understand that at that time when the statement is being made by the Rishi, there is no Brahman separate and the Rishi separate. It is his personal experience what he is taking. The awareness is in which the sun exists. The awareness in which the stars and the moon exist. The awareness in which the lightning exists. The awareness is in which the ordinary fire also exists. And all these independent existence are dependent on the existence and awareness of the observer. And if the observer awareness is not enlightening the existence or through his awareness of the objects, whatever it may be, sun, moon, etc., they do not exist. It is that existence of that there is no individual at that time. It is that substratum of awareness in which all these things are coming up as individuality.
It's just like how if you see a sun in your dream, who is powering that sun in your dream? Like that I can say, right, Arvindaji?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. All the objects, example wise, you can take the dream as that. All the things which you are creating, we are providing in our dream. That is what is called Soprakashita. The self-illumining nature of the awareness. It is the one which is giving that light in the dream world, the objects in the dream world, the existence of objects and experiences of the dream world, the individual, the experiencer as a dreamer. Everything is in the light of the awareness of the Atman. And it is the same Atman which is doing in our waking also. But where in the waking we are not able to see from the same way we see it in the dream. This individuality was like the dreamer in the dream. But we are a waker in the waking. But just as the dream was lit up by the awareness of the Atman, the same Atman or Brahman is the one which is enlightening this sun in the waking, this moon in the waking, this stars in the waking. And if there is a sun and the moon and the stars in the dream, did they really independently exist in the dream? No. It is the Atman which created the dreamer and the world in the dream. Same thing which is there in the waking also. So, tasya vasa sarvamidam vivadi. And that Atman or Brahman is the creator and which shines everything, whether it's a dream, waking or deep sleep.
Can we say the same thing in a different manner instead of not using all the three examples? Because we always use this example of dream, sleep, waking. But can we say it like this, that because we are the knower of the sun, we are the knower of the moon, that's why we want to animate and we want to understand like that, because we are seeing the things as separatedness.
See, you can say that, but then the question will come, does that we, who you are referring, has the capacity and potency to create a sun in your waking? You are an enjoyer of sun in the waking, no? You cannot create the sun. That is why this example is used of the three states and the Suprakasha Atma of the nature of Brahman as an Atman is creating that create world. There the world in the dream, the sun was created or the lamp was created, the road was created, the horses were created or the car was created, the elephant was created, the dreamer was created, his happiness and sorrow and pain, pleasure, everything was created. Same way for every object in that third person, first person, all those creations were from what? The Suprakasha Atma. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vivadi. He, when he shines, you have a dream. When he shines in the waking, you have the waking. Neither you are the waker, nor you are not the waker alone. You are not the dreamer alone. You are not the deep sleeper alone. But you are the one who sees all the three states going through as an experience in yourself. So you cannot identify only with one and say that the other two are not me or not real. You are able to see the things happening from the one point of view and explain. Of course, all the explanation, everything is possible in the waking only. So the solution also had to happen in the waking only. Because your logic and explanation can work only in your waking. And your problems are only in waking. The dream problems were never a permanent problem for you. But waking problems, we feel that that problem lasts forever. I am aging, I am becoming sick, I am becoming old. All those things which we are feeling is only in waking. So the solution has to be found in waking. Because the fire is in waking, you have to put up the fire in the waking.
Arbindraji, the Shankara Ekashloki is loosely based on this shloka only, right? Where he's telling the whole that Kim Jyotistava Bhadumana.
Yes.
Yeah, so actually that that shloka, which is called Ekashloki, is supposed to say the whole Vedanta in only one shloka. So, and it's a very nice, it actually takes you step by step, like it is asking in the morning time, how are you seeing things? So the Shishya says, by the sun rays I am able to see. So it's a very, if someone is interested, that is almost like an explanation to this particular, I think he must have been inspired by this Upanishad sloka only and wrote that, and it takes it step by step, like in the morning time how do you see, then the Shishya says with the sun, in the evening time or the night time how do you see, he says either using either moon or I think the bulb, the lamps which are lit in the evening. Then he will ask something like, now when you're closing eyes also, you're seeing stuff, right? No, in the middle he asks, how are you able to see sun and the light? So because of them, if you're able to see stuff, then you're also seeing the sun as an object and the light also as an object, the lamp. How is it possible? Then he says, because of my eyes, I am able to see that objects. Then he asks, when you close your eyes, how are you able to see some stuff? Like you can close eyes and still. So then he says, with my mind or the dhi, which he says. Then finally he asks, now you know that this dhi also, this mind also you are seeing. Now who is seeing that mind? So then at that instant that Shishya will say that, oh yes, that is me, Guruji, now I understand. So that is one beautiful just 4-line poem which is actually I think inspired by, I think this poem is inspired, I see this poem, this shloka coming in multiple things. Like of course in Gita it is there, and in the famous Dakshinamurti there is a Nana Chidra Ghatodara Sthita Mahadeep. So the fourth shloka of the Dakshinamurti, the third line says the same thing. Tameva that's something like this one. I have to chant the whole shloka, but yeah, I think this shloka is a very important theme. It's the theme of self-inquiry itself, kind of.
Yes. In fact, if you are really interested, there is one thing called Antaryami Brahmana in the Brihadaranya Upanishad with a beautiful commentary by Sureshwaracharya on that, the Brihadaranya. Antaryami Brahmana. Of course, the Upanishads hold the whole Upanishad. This section itself has got a acceptance in the traditional line as a Brahmana. That, see, as we Aranyaka, in the Aranyaka they have put in a Brahmana there. So normally in the Brahmana, Aranyaka do not go together. But in this Brihadaranya, there is a separate portion called Antaryami Brahmana. And same thing, a subsequent traditional teacher who is known as Chitsuka Acharya, he has written a hair-splitting argument narrative on this discussion on the Swaprakashata in the first part of the book called Chitsuki. Tattva Pradipika is the name of the book, but it is also known as Chitsuki. But only who have studied the Indian logic in the traditional Nyaya Vaisheshika will be able to understand that. Because the terminologies are absolutely Indian philosophy, logical, Indian logic into that. So, unless you are very familiar with those terms and terminologies of Indian logic, that book will not make a sense for you. But that Antaryami Brahmana of Brihadaranya is a very detailed discussion between Janaka and Yajnavalkya on the Swaprakashata of Atma, the self-effulgence nature of Atma.
Yeah, I always get stuck here. This part of the Suprakashita of the intellect, from where the intellect is being brightened, illuminated by the Brahman. And this is where I think I get wrong.
Okay, with all your permission, I'll take leave.
So 9
Thank
more
you.
minutes.
Okay.
Technically, there's 9 more minutes until bedtime.
Thank you, Arvindji.
Thank you, sir.
Unless you have some questions, otherwise I'd like to. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Say good night.
Good night.